Hello and welcome to HLI Ireland's Let's Talk series. My name is Lisa O'Hare and I'm delighted to be back with you again. I have two very special guests with me today. I've got Therese McChrystal, my dear friend and mentor, and I have Aoife Collins, who's been on the show with us before. Welcome back, Aoife.
Hi Lisa, thanks very much.
So just in advance, our audio and video connection with Aoife isn't the best, but she's a very valuable contribution to make today, so we wanted to keep her on the show. So we promised on the last broadcast that we would give you some information, advice, guidance with regard to homeschooling, because I know a lot of you have found yourselves in the unexpected position of being homeschoolers at this really challenging and trying time. Just to put you into perspective of our three backgrounds, I have been homeschooling for the last 2 years. So myself and my husband took the decision to take our children out of school to homeschool them exactly this time of year. So I have quite an understanding of what it feels like to be in school one day and then home the next. But I'm very much taking baby steps in the whole homeschooling world. Therese McChrystal, on the other hand, is my dear friend and mentor who has been homeschooling since the beginning of her children's education. And her eldest child is 18 and is now in the position almost to take the next steps into the big bad world. And Aoife has found herself in the position of 5 children at home and this whole new challenge that faces her. So I'll go to you, Aoife, first. Just how have you been since we last spoke, and how are you finding this new change in life?
Okay, Lisa, every time I used to think about you with your children homeschooling, I used to just get weak. And I used to wonder, how did you do it? I also wondered how Therese did it. And now I'm an accidental homeschooler. I'm kind of reluctantly thrown into it, but I'll be honest, it's a bit of a muddle at the moment. I have one child who's reading every book she can find and making piles of books, which really sounds great. I have another one who hasn't even started the homework that she was given last week. And I have another one who's done all of the homework that she was given. We haven't moved on to doing the creative stuff that I see a lot of the mothers doing. I've barely gone outside the door because my day is lacking routine. And I find that I'm constantly filling the dishwasher and hand washing as well. So, the day has no start, middle or end, and I'm going to bed at the same time as the children. So in a way, you could say it's a little bit of a mini disaster, but putting it into perspective, like, this is just so different and difficult for everyone across the country. This is only minor, but I think we'll probably be talking about how this is probably in some ways a blessing in disguise, that we get to spend time with our children and not to be worried about rushing around to activities and signing homework, signing tests, all the things we do. And I'd love to hear how you manage your day and, you know, how you're getting on with it.
Okay, well, I'm just going to give you straight on to Therese because she's got all the wisdom here. So, Therese, help us out here.
Thanks very much, Lisa. One thing I will say from the beginning, this is my disclaimer. There is a misnomer out there that homeschooling mothers have it all together. And it is the biggest, fattest, hairiest lie there is on the planet. Every homeschooling family is different. Every homeschooling family chooses a different path, is called to a different route, lives their day differently, uses different books. And then apart from all that, every child is different. You'll have special needs children, you'll have non-special needs children, you'll have teenagers with their teenager demands, you'll have babies with their dirty nappies. And it's a muddle. And I would honestly say it's where God is calling us through the pots and pans, the nappies and the rags, to holiness. And no homeschooling mother has all the answers. No school facility buildings mother has all the answers. But we each do have something for one another. And the one thing I would say is that we're not in competition with each other. None of us mothers and sisters in Christ are in competition with each other. And we have to support one another and pray each other through this to wherever God takes us to.
I found listening to the Mass today, it was in the Eucharistic prayer, and the priest said, "You have given your children a sacred time for the renewing and purifying of their hearts." you know, this was part of the Eucharistic prayer. It was obviously about Lent, but it really spoke to my heart about this time. You have, as in the Lord, you have given your children a sacred time for the renewing and purifying of their hearts. Therese, I know you're speaking off air, and I'd like you to share it with our listeners. You and I, you know, we're talking, as I said, we are homeschoolers, but we have found a calling within this, something deeper. So people may be tuned in going, okay, tell us how it's done. What's your timetable look like? What's the schedule look like? And our answer may surprise them. Can you say what you think the Lord is speaking to us as mothers and as families at the minute?
Yep. Yeah, well, certainly. It's funny, you know, we've had the comments given to us by family and friends alike. Asher, it's all right for you. Life is no different in the day-to-day running. And to a degree, that is right, in the sense I'm at home, I'm with my children, we still have umpteen mouths to feed, and we have 8 children here at home. So when people were panic purchasing last week, and I just had my regular groceries for 10, I bought for 10 days, right? So do the maths, 10 days of meals, there's 10 people in my home, 3 meals a day. That's if that's all they eat. They do eat consistently. That's 300 meals I'm plating up in 10 days, you know, so that's more than 2 trolleys worth. So I wasn't panic buying. I was grocery shopping like a Tuesday normally. But it is trying for us, because we would try and get out to daily mass if we could. And that is an anchor in our day. And it sounds really basic, but that would be the reason we get dressed in the morning. It would be the reason we brush our teeth and have our breakfast before us at times, to get out of the house to go to mass. And that mass is a real anchor. It's also a very social time for our parish. It's when we meet our parishioners, you know, especially our daily parishioners, a small group of good people there. And I know most of them are elderly. So we were the youngest by far going to daily mass. So my heart goes out to those people, and I miss them. I miss the elderly ladies and gentlemen who are very encouraging to us. And we're wondering, do we visit them? Do we take them food? Are we allowed to take them food? They don't want pasta and rice anyway. They're meat and potatoes and veg people, you know. So we're all walking through this, but I would say we have a greater call to patience now, and we're seeing how mummies and daddies deal with situations like this very differently. Patrick has his call as the protector provider. I have my call as the helper nurturer at home, and it's trying to travel that journey. And God has taken us to new depths and new heights of holiness and sanctity. So.
Therese, you mentioned, and I can share it with our viewers, today's, was it today or yesterday's mass reading that really, I think it was this morning, was it? I'm not sure if you can see that there. Moses said to the people, "And now Israel, take notice of the laws and customs that I teach you today, and observe them, that you may have life and may enter and take possession of the land."
Lovely. So beautiful.
Why that really spoke to your heart this morning?
Well, it spoke to me, I suppose, in light of the whole homeschooling question. People are asking us, what do you teach your children? What curriculum do you use? What books do you go? Where do you get them from? What online resources should you use? And when I read that scripture this morning before Mass, and then when I heard it online, I really felt the Lord was saying, we are in Lent, and it's a custom, it's a law of our church, it's a requirement of our Catholic faith. And that is the primary call on our lives, not what books we use or what curriculums. Now, I'm not negating the need for educating our children, but I am seeing this time as a new time of teaching our children. Why is Lent what Lent is? Why do we fast? Why do we pray? Why do we give alms? Maybe ask the children, what prayers do you know? What prayers do you want to add to our daily prayer? Do you have a daily prayer life as a family? Almsgiving, what is almsgiving? Who can we give to? We're not allowed to touch people. We're not allowed to go to people. So how can we give to others? Is it money? Is it food? Is it time? Is it phone calls? Is it letters to Granny? You know, it really spoke to my heart that the Lord has something for us to pass on to our children. And ultimately, we're preparing for heaven. Whatever happens with coronavirus, I said earlier on, the worst thing it can do, the worst case scenario, is it makes eternity happen sooner for us. Now, our whole life is a call to preparing for eternity. Our own parish priest, he's ready to go. He said very happily and with laughter the other day, let it take me, I'm ready to go, I've done my work. You know, and he's not worried at all. He has no fear. It's quite beautiful to see a man who has no fear of death. We don't want him to go. We want him to hang around and give us the Eucharist and the sacraments. But it was very enlightening to meet someone who was so free that his attitude was, the worst thing that can happen is I die. And that's actually the best thing that can happen to me if I'm in that state of grace heading towards heaven.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I mean, I have a curriculum to follow. So people are saying, what do I do? And I have the curriculum. I've got the maths books, I've got the spelling and the reading and all the rest of it. But yeah, I feel like, this is an opportunity for the whole world to pause. Because I've often said in my life, God, I wish I had a pause button. I wish I could just pause until I catch my breath and get my priorities straight and take a look at where I am and where I want to be, where my family is, my marriage is, and what, and this has given us an opportunity to do that. So I would encourage families, before you go trying to replicate school, home life, homeschooling is nothing like school, the formal school. Someone, I heard someone saying before, people who now find themselves with their children at school, to look at themselves as remote schooling and not think of yourself as trying to replicate school. There is a link to a study that showed, how many minutes of actual teaching time go on within a school day. And it's very interesting. By the time you take out travel, breaks, settling the children down, giving out notes, all of these other and all of the soft skills, the actual, cream of academic learning is very much reduced. So that should take a burden of stress off people to say, if I have a 5 or 6 year old, 45 minutes, maybe to an hour, even at that, of really concentrated learning. But then your day is open. And my senior kids are maybe 3 hours. But again, I don't want people to have, we will, and we promise as HLI, we will sort of try and meet that hunger within you to look at exactly how you can not let your academic life slip. But I think, us as a HLI team have thought carefully of what we can give you, our viewers, our listeners, our friends, our family. And it's, first of all, just pause that for a second. Listen to what the Lord is saying to you in your heart. Use this as an opportunity. Life's problems didn't stop because of the coronavirus. If you have problems in your marriage, that hasn't suddenly stopped. Or if your children have some sort of issues that they need dealing with, they still need dealing with. So this is an opportunity. And some of your older children might just need a rest. We've talked about the mental health of our teenagers, and they're stressed with running and academics and school and sports. Maybe they all only need a rest. Maybe their younger children just want you to read stories. They're all listening to what's going on, so they're anxious. And I asked a lot of some of my homeschooling friends, if your advice, what would your advice be to families? And none of the advice given was around which curriculum to use or how to break up your day. It was quote from the Mother of Divine Grace founder, Laura Burquest, which is, if you don't have your children's hearts, you'll never have their minds. So please don't try to add more anxiety into your life than the anxiety that is already there because of what we're trying to face. Your children, I will get off my soapbox in a wee second, but your children will learn so much more from this time by watching how you respond to your parents, your elderly neighbours, each other, to God. They will witness when times get tough, who do you turn to? And what are you teaching your children? Mental health is such a crisis out there. And this has given us time to just say, to whom do we turn when life is out of control? When we can't see the dangers because they're hidden? And our children will learn so much more from that, and from us then appreciating life. Get outside and look at springtime coming. Read the stories that you've never, the books that you brought. If you're like me, you have hundreds of books in the house that you never get to read. Listen to some classical music. Have a shift that your children will notice, a shift in the pace of your life. And the other homeschooling mothers, a lot of them talked about love, talking to your children and hearing them and then also looking for what's good and true and beautiful. You
That's
know,
right.
if these are our last days, how do we want to spend them? We want to spend them having fun with our children. We want to spend them listening to music that raises the soul to heaven, reading literature that is that again points us to all the virtues that are good. So
Yeah.
that's me sort of on my wee rant. But Aoife,
Yeah.
you're the one who finds yourself in the position. Does anything of what we say help at all, or what else would you like to hear us?
Yeah, let's put it this way. I'm not really bothered about their educational needs right now. This has only just been a few days old. Two things struck me. I know some of my friends, they have children, and maybe they've only like 2 or 3 children in the house. They miss their friends. You know, a lot of these children really miss their friends, and they're getting very frustrated. The second thing occurred to me yesterday was, are we talking too much about the coronavirus in front of our children? And I sort of decided yesterday that I'm going to adopt the approach of the man in the film La Vita e Bella. Do you remember that film? Where he was in the concentration camp with his child, and he sort of shielded him as much as he could from the absolute depravity around him, and he brought the joy out in even a terrible circumstance. So I'm kind of going, you know, I'm going to be careful that I'm not going to show any fear, because I suppose if we do start hearing that people are around us are getting sick and that, I just want to be careful that they don't absorb that. And the thing about them not being near their friends, well, basically I have 5 children and they're able to play and fight amongst themselves, so they're not too bad. But I'm kind of wondering, have you any advice for other parents who feel that their children are getting upset, that they're a bit lonely, they miss the structure of the day? Some children have grown up with structure from day one. They've been in a creche, they've gone to a play group, Montessori, they've gone to school, so structure, and now they're going to this kind of loose you know, ad hoc, whatever, homeschooling. Have you any advice for those parents?
Right.
Trez, I'll give that to you.
Okay, well, I think a big thing, I think the biggest difference for most people coming from school to home is the lack of the school schedule and the school tier system. Our 5-year-olds are with 5-year-olds, our 15-year-olds are with 15-year-olds, and they're not used to being together. So you could have a household of 2 children or 10 children. If they've been in school or in play school or in play group or nursery school or creche, whatever, they're used to being with their own peer group and with adults who serve that model. Now, I'm not saying that's either right nor wrong, but home is not that model. And we're not called to recreate that artificial model, because home is their real model. Home is what God has given them with, please God, mom and dad, maybe not necessarily, and then their siblings. So I think a big part of this adjustment will be praying for the gift of patience. We're going to have to be patient with our spouses. Some women are cracking up that daddy's at home. They're not used to having daddy at home, working on the computer and having his work calls. And some mummies think when daddy's at home, he can just help all around the house the whole time, and that will crack daddy up. You know, we have to find each other's call in this and each other's way. Maybe God is calling people home to do more together at home, but we are going to have to just have an adjustment time, whether it's a few days or a week, maybe it's a month, where we learn the rhythm of one another, and we are going to see each other's weaknesses, and we are going to see each other's strengths, and it's our God-given duty to help our children grow both in their strengths, but also to conquer their weaknesses if they are just little things that we can niggle out. I think one danger I would really warn people against is the entertainment culture. I'm sure there'll be a temptation to have FaceTime or WhatsApp time or computer time with their friends for that connection. But what happens when that's over? How are they going to fill the next void? And who are they going to connect with for the next void? When already God has given them people to connect with, and it's their parents and their siblings. Maybe grandparents are around, maybe not, maybe there's aunts and uncles, maybe there's someone living in the house. God has given those relationships first. And a lot of us don't know how to live those relationships because we're not ordinarily in them. We might be in them for breakfast, we might be in them for evening dinner, but that whole 6, 7, 8 hours in the day, that's a whole new time frame where we're going to have to learn to love, we're going to have to learn to serve, we're going to have to learn how to forgive, and we might even have to learn how to laugh again, how to play games again, how to be creative, you know, how to get, you may have to pass a boredom threshold with the children. I wouldn't be for handing out the electronic devices. They're there, use them as a tool, watch the odd movie, whatever it is. If mom's fried, there's nothing wrong with having a movie if it just gives someone breathing space. But it's measuring it and learning how to relate with one another again, how to be patient with one another again. And it will take a few hits and a few misses. Some people will drive us mad that we didn't realize, and some people will bring us great joy. And we will be one of those people driving people mad and bringing great joy at different times. And it's going to be a big time of personal adjustment, I think, for mothers in the home, to be patient with themselves and to be forgiving with themselves when we will make mistakes and we will shout at our children and we will expect ridiculous things of our spouses maybe. And it is going to be that time of adjustment of what is real, what can we really manage here, and what can we do without? What actually can we just say, we don't need that, it's Lent, give it up that device, give up that video, give up that whatever it is. And it is just going to be a massive fast learning curve, you know. All the people and the scientists, they're doing this big curve about the virus up there and the virus down there, and I said there's going to be a bigger curve for family life. There's going to be this big push of energy and adrenaline for the first few days, and then we're going to start going down and going, okay, it's been a week, it's been 2 weeks, it's been 3 weeks, and that's when you'll see your real relationships, and your real patience and your real forgiveness. And you have to get up the next day and face these people again, and you have to love them again. So I don't know if that's encouraging or demoralizing, but I suppose I'm just cautioning people against the entertainment beast that we've created for ourselves, that our children are not going to be entertained for the next 3 months. Mommy has things to do, daddy has things to do, we each have things to do. And maybe it's time now to serve the family together.
Yeah.
I think from my perspective, you know, we've often lamented how this entertainment culture just has, that there's no such thing as boredom anymore. And I think, I mean, I don't know if there's a quote, you know, but boredom leads to creativity. You know, I remember when we were at home, you know, we lived in the countryside, and at that time there were no really extracurricular activities apart from maybe Irish dancing on a Friday night. And I remember being so bored. And, you know, we would come up with games to play. We'd go outside with our bikes, and if you parked beside a yellow dandelion, that was a yellow, you know, double yellow line, so you had to go into the police cell, and you know, all these really random games. But that was only born out of boredom. And so my advice would be to don't run away from being bored, and don't just jump. Therese is quite right, you know, if you're fried and you need a movie and you need time out, I mean, that's prudential, kind of going, okay, you know, this is good for my mental health to put on a movie for everybody. But try not to make that your first stop. That's what I would say. And I know very well, I mean, I have a child with special needs. So now, you know, this is a very real challenge for people who have children with special needs, particularly whose life depends on structure, and they're going to find this really difficult. So first of all, I would ask our viewers to please offer up a prayer for them. And then even more than that, if you have teenagers who are bored, now I don't know what the restrictions will be and how people's different centers of protection are going to work, but it might be something you want to look at, that your teenagers could help a family who are struggling, a child with special needs who you know, if you can keep yourself protected, maybe you are in a position where you could go and offer to take a child for go and play with them, to give parents a break. And the same with mothers who are pregnant or newborn babies. I mean, they're very difficult times. Hormones are up, and there's lack of sleep, and the thought of having your children at home all day is really, really difficult. And it's not, you know, we may be very lighthearted here, and we're trying, you know, that's consciously, but we're not being unrealistic in saying that there are very real challenges, and this is where we have to look out for each other. But I would also say, you know, Aoife and I in our previous discussion talked about prayer, and the route to God is through humility. Homeschooling, being at home with your children and your husband, there's nothing more humbling than that, because they will see your weaknesses. They will see your language or whatever it is that, you know, the anger that outbursts from you, and that's okay. You know, I would say, you know, I've been there, and I've been to confession, and the priest is sort of saying, well, you know, okay, let's look at the sources of that anger. You know, what was it? that led you to that outburst? You know, was it a fear that the child was in danger, or was it the fact that your home is now a mess all the time and you're craving for order? Those are very real things to try and look at. Maybe you could have a space that your children don't go into that is that your little haven of order, whereas the rest of the house is now gone to pot. Maybe you could look at getting more sleep. Aoife's right, go to bed with the kids. You know, you don't have to get up and get uniforms ready now. Maybe you could include the children, because the household chores, you can't homeschool your children and do everything that you were doing before. So let's start bringing them in. Let's teach the children how to put on a wash. Let's teach the older children to take the younger children to read a story. Let's involve the younger children to put away the items out of the dishwasher. Those are learning. And as I've said before, the children won't remember what topic they learned at this time. They'll remember what they did and how they were and how they suddenly were given a role in this ship. We're in Noah's Ark here, or we're with Moses into the desert, and it's all hands on deck, guys. Let's the whole show on the road. So all of those are, you know, I don't know if they're answering people's specific questions, but I think we want to move people into thinking that way instead of moving from one huge stress to another. Please, from a parent, a mother who took on homeschooling and consumed myself with everything that's out there. And this could be religious stuff, and it could be, this is fabulous resource, and oh, look at that creativity, and oh, they're planting a garden, and oh, they're doing this, and you're like, you fall down a rabbit hole, and you spend all your time in the computer and none with your children because you want to do all this great stuff with them. So I would definitely take a step back from that, and as I said, and take it easy. As I said, we took our children out in April around this time, and we didn't do any formal schooling until September. We really didn't. We tried to get our meal plan into action. We tried to get chores. We went out and looked at the bluebells that had grown in Knockmany. So, like, take it easy on yourselves.
Dr. Ray Garundi, Lisa, came up with a great phrase years ago, and he said he compared mothers in the home, or a lot homeschooling mothers, they're like the air traffic controllers of the unit. You know, they're not flying the plane, they're not the groundsmen, but they are coordinating others to do that which they can do to the best of their ability. So they're telling the pilot how to land the plane, they're telling the groundsmen to direct them into the unit, they're telling the ground staff to be ready to receive. So that, like you're saying about teaching your children the different tasks around the house, and you may have to be creative. You may have to create jobs for children, and you may have to say, you there now, you empty that bin for mommy. You just, and it might just be a small bin, it might not even be that full, but it's just enabling them to be part of this process of adjustment. And then St. Francis of Assisi had a phrase that we need to be careful that we don't have this escapism in holy pursuits. You know, just because it's Catholic or just because it's holy doesn't mean we're actually called to do it. And it's a bit like the internet searching and the online podcasts and all this. Excuse us on our own little podcast here, but we have to be very careful that just because it's Catholic doesn't mean we should be doing it. And we have to, and it might be that we're called to write down, it might help people who are new to being at home to write down the priorities. You know, as a mommy in the home, what do I really need to keep sane? What are the bare minimum things I need to keep sane? What do my children need to do every day? What really are the needs of every day? What does my husband need? What are his mental, physical, spiritual, emotional needs? And we're never going to keep everybody happy all the time. But if we can get the hot top button issues for everyone covered, we'll muddle through the rest. And there is a lot of considerations to be made. There's a lot of slack to be given to other people, but we won't grow in holiness if we're each trying to just get our own way. You know, we have to help one another land.
And this is what Lent is all about. You know, it's been called to get closer to God. We have an opportunity that we will never have again in our lifetime. You know, that pause button and that opportunity to really see Lent, you know, just, you know, to re-emphasize, you know, the disciplines that our church has given us are through prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Now, the fasting is almost been forced upon us. You know, we have to fast from all of our activities, from life as we know it. Prayer, now there are opportunities to pray. And again, the Lord is so gentle. So please be gentle with your family. You know, we're all in different zones. You know, a father can be in a very pragmatic, practical, or mum can be in a very practical zone, and someone else wants to get on their knees and somebody else wants to just play. And, you know, we can come closer to God gently. So, you know, I was laughing about Daniel saying, oh, we're going to be, you know, homeschool or real Catholics now who go to mass every day. But I mean, just because I feel like I really want to have mass on every day, the children need to be able to do their thing. So I got them out colouring pages. And,
Isn't it ironic now, though? It's ironic now that the real Catholics are not going to mass every day.
Yeah, well, it's funny because, I mean, it's just highlighted for me, you know, my pride, because obviously when I go to mass, I'm so self-conscious about how my children are behaving, or I spend half the time telling them to be quiet or watch what they're doing, or how are we, you know, whereas that's really been highlighted to me, going, now I can really emphasize on what mass is, and I really don't care what they're wearing or how they're behaving, because it's not public. So that's actually, you know, thrown a bit of light on something maybe I need to do that.
Can I read a quote there from Saint Cyril, whose feast day it is today?
Wow.
Just about the gift that the Lord has given us. Today is an average day in Lent in the church's year, but it is also the feast of Cyril of Jerusalem. And in the office of readings, which is the first moment of prayer in the church's day, the 7 hours of prayer. So in the first hour, the office of readings, there's this little extract. And he said, "My brothers, this is truly a great occasion. Approach it with caution. You are standing in front of God and in the presence of the host of angels. The Holy Spirit is about to impress his seal on each of your souls. You are about to be pressed into the service of a great king." There's a pause. "And so prepare yourselves to receive the sacrament." Now, when I read that today, I was blown away, because it really tells us that God has not inflicted something upon us. He has granted something to us. This is a great occasion. He's given us, it's that pause button that you talked about earlier. God has actually paused the world for us. You know, there's a number of commentators online saying it's scary how the governments have stopped us all in our tracks. Thank God they have. And if this is the prudential move, this is the prudential move. I'd rather be overcautious than not. But I actually see it as a gift from God that this is a great occasion, and we are to be cautious. And I think we're to be cautious not to squander this time, not to just carry on willy-nilly watching and reading everything that passes by us, but to be more discerning in our conversations, to be more guarded with our lips, to be more protective of our time with one another. As the Catechism says, at home we're to serve the weakest first. Who is the most vulnerable in our home? Is it the new baby? Is it the newly made redundant dad? Is it the mother who's just had the baby? Is it somebody who's sick? Is it the old person? What is the weakest place in our home? And how can we rally to serve that person in their need, you know? And when I read that line, we are in the presence of God and the hosts of angels. If we were just to close our eyes and imagine that God was standing before us and we have all the angelic realm around us because God is there, it should change the way we act. It should change the way we speak, and it should change the way we love our children and our spouses. And I stand as one before you, and I don't do that enough, and I don't change enough, and I'm not holy enough with my family. But the Lord is certainly giving us more hours in the day now to do this. You know, I'm delighted there's no basketball, no rugby, no swimming, no music, no weekend sports. I am thrilled that we're not on the road. We've calculated that we're saving about 250 miles a week on the road. It's phenomenal. But it's like, approach that with caution. The Lord has given us that time back for something. And I would say ultimately he wants us to have him in on that time now. That it's not just mass on a Sunday morning. It's not just that 1 hour in the week. I think he's asking us to be more conscious of his presence. I don't know, would you agree?
I think also, just when you're just talking about that, I think you used the word pressing. And there's a song that comes to me, it's called New Wine. The talks
Yeah, beautiful.
And the crushing. And sometimes this is going to be a tough time, particularly as mothers who really, we carry the desires for our children. You know, there's nothing we want more than their happiness and the opportunities to be available to them. And we're taking on a burden. But you know, I had the kids' Bible, so listen, that's, as I said, that's kind of the standard that I am most days when I'm just reading with the kids. And it's Moses was talking with the Lord, and he said, why have you laid the burden of this people on me to bring them to the land which you promised to their fathers? Where will I find food to give them? For they're weeping and saying to me, give us food. And I can't bear this burden alone. I pray you to kill me and save me from my misery. So the Lord wants us to have those tough conversations and to lean in. He knows we're being pressed. He knows a burden has been put on us, but if we can try and lean on him, the opportunities will come where we will see that we are growing, that we are that there is light, and there is a lightness. It's like Aoife, you were saying, maybe not having everything so heavy with the children. Put on, we for St. Patrick's Day yesterday, we put on a few bit of Mick Flav and a bit of the old country music. We were jiving around the kitchen, and whilst my heart really bled that I wasn't doing it with my mum and dad at home with them, this is just where we're at, and we have to be grateful for what we have and who we have, and as you said, Therese, look out for the most vulnerable. Aoife, has any of this helped at all, or would you want a part two?
Well, as we're speaking, I can hear my children fighting downstairs. So life will just continue on as normal for me. I don't know. I think actually, no, you've given great advice. As you say, valuing the children even when they're really annoying you, and oh look, I know to get my priorities in order, that family first, make sure our relations are okay, try and have a bit more prayer life going. I think we'll be fine.
Well, listen, we talked about, just to conclude here, we might try and think of a word that we could give to our friends or family supporters, anyone who's listening, to leave with them. Maybe a word of hope. Oh, we've lost Aoife. Are you back? So just, as I said, we can't answer all your problems. We don't have all the answers, but guess what? We know someone who does. The Lord has all the answers, so go to him. Therese, would you have a word that you'd like to leave us with?
I would say patience. I would say this is going to be a testing time. Whatever about the world's scenario, being granted more time with other people will show us our human weakness the most. Whatever annoying things they do to us, we will probably be confronted with our own humanity. And being patient with our husbands will see this very differently. They will have a more practical, more provider, protector mindset. Being patient with them. We're not wrong in our different approaches to what's going on in our homes and in the world. And we must look at the differences and how we receive it and how we respond as a good. But that will require great patience. And our children may not respond to us as quickly or as readily as they do to the teachers at school, because you're mom and you're always there and sure, what the heck. But we have to just be patient, and we have to relearn, reteach, and redo it again and again and again and again. Just like God has to be patient with us. As God is patient with us, we must be patient with those he's put in our lives.
Okay, thank you. Aoife, what about you? Have you got a word for us?
Opportunities. We've got new opportunities here, and we should grab them. And that's it.
Okay, great. My word would be attentive. Be attentive. Mm-hmm. Sort of along the lines of what Therese was saying, which is, let's be attentive to the needs of those, those around us, who's struggling. Attentive to opportunities, like Aoife was saying. Just to give you an example, I was putting on a wash this morning, and I asked my 5-year-old, why don't you come along and have a look? And sure enough, the digits were 10, 20, 30. So she did a wee bit of counting. Then we looked at automatic, A for automatic, D for dark. And that was 2 minutes of an opportunity. And this is something that, and we also need to be attentive to ourselves and to our own needs. We don't need to be martyrs at the detriment of our own mental and physical well-being. It's like they say in the airports, put your gas mask on first before you're able to help others. Of course, the Lord wants us to offer up sacrifices. But I know I would have been guilty in the past of trying too hard to weather everything and bear everything, that I just became unbearable probably, and not helpful to my family. So please be attentive to yourself and your own time and your own needs. So there is just that very delicate balance to have. So just before we conclude, you know, when we said we'd do a video on homeschooling, maybe you thought we were going to give you a structure, we're going to give you reading resources, we're going to give you all of these ideas, and we do hope to do that. And as time goes on, there'll certainly be a need for that. But we just consciously wanted at the moment for you to take that time before we all launch into what we should be doing. We feel that this is a conscious decision just to take time. By the sounds of it, we're all going to have time. And we don't know what we're facing, but we do know that this is still a season of Lent.
That's right.
We will, and we promise you that we will give you resources that will raise your hearts and your minds to heaven. We have lots of them, but it is a huge world out there, and we just want to take it slowly and gently and give you that opportunity to use this time that will be fruitful for your own personal, your own physical and emotional well-being, and that of your family, your neighbours and friends. So those are our 3 words: opportunity, patience and attentiveness. Thank you so much for watching. Therese and Aoife, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
It's been an amazing gift to have you. Therese, can you lead us in a prayer to Our Lady, maybe?
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And we thank you, Blessed Mother, for calling us together on this day under the protection of your mantle. We ask you that you bless us wherever we are, whatever we're doing, whoever we're with, whoever we're not with, that you keep us united in our love of Jesus and our service of the church. And we ask Our Lady to be the woman who models the way we should be. And we pray together: Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. And we pray: Our Lady of the Holy Saturday, the day where she was denied the presence of Jesus, pray for us. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Please remember that we at Human Life International Ireland are praying and working for an Ireland where God is first, life is sacred, and the family is cherished. Please join us again as we continue to journey through Lent and through this crisis, this opportunity. We hope to serve and pray with and for you. God bless.
Bye-bye.